Hello, friends. This is Aronica Bicol, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, well, welcome to the organized chaos that is my so-called life. Oh, that is actually really cute. My so-called life, like SEW. Anyway, I digress. That is not the point of this video today. Today, we are talking about, and I feel like this might be our final update, but we're talking about Joann's. Um, so yeah, let's go ahead and get into today's content. Okay, friends. So I decided that I wanted to attach my microphone onto something because I really do actually like it in my hand, but we don't need to hold it. So it's attached to the tier marker, and we're going to keep this party going along with that. Okay. So listen, we know that Joann has filed bankruptcy again for the second time within a 1 year period. And in my last video about Joann's, we did a little bit of a deep dive into that. Now, in that video, its future was still a little uncertain, and that video was recorded about a month ago when they filed for their second bankruptcy. But a month later, things are not looking on the up and up for our dear girl, Joann's. Now, I say our dear girl because I do feel like there's a lot of complicated feelings when it comes to Joann's. Why? Because Joann's, for many of us, Joann's is where many people fell in love with sewing, had the opportunity to touch, feel fabric, see patterns, things like that, right? I remember when I became a pattern designer with Nomi Patterns, and a girlfriend of mine was like, my mom used to sew, and I just remember going into the stores with her, and we would never be able to see a plus size Black woman on the cover of a sewing pattern. And she was like, I'm so excited that I get to go into Joann's to see you, a plus size Black woman, on the cover of your own patterns. So for me, that was like a big thing. And so I love Joann's for affording me the opportunity to have people walk into the actual stores and see this fat Black woman on the front of sewing patterns that they had never seen before. So I'm very appreciative of that. I'm very appreciative of the fact that, when I need last minute notions, last minute fabrics, I can just go to one of three Joann's that I live in between and go ahead and get what I need. It's also fantastic for if you are new to the craft and you don't know what fabrics feel like. You can go inside and touch and feel and have a conversation with someone in real time about the fabrics, about the notions, about the patterns, about the yarn, about the tools, whatever it is that you need. I also know that Joann's had some places for growth. So, for example, many of the stores in the Atlanta area, we don't even have lights, and we haven't had working lights for years. It's not just us, though. Also, they've got all of these like classrooms that they simply do not use. This stands out to me because as a sewing instructor, I'm like, this is space that should be used. Also, I'm just like, they don't treat their people the best. So when we go into Joann's, we are not greeted by the people who are the most excited to do their jobs. Why? Because chances are they're one of the only people in the store having to navigate what can only be described as probably not the kindest people in the world, because as much as I would like to think that crafters are kind, the truth of the matter is that we are not the kindest people in the world. Listen, if you took that blink personally, chances are I was talking about you. Okay. But also, like, they are not being paid very well. And they are the only ones in the store. So they're having to battle checking people out with cutting fabric, with doing this, packing these online orders, or not even being able to find the fabrics or things that came from those online orders. Our Joann's employees have had to put up with a lot, right? Our frustrations, the frustrations of the impending doom of Joann's. So they've been going through the ringer as well. So I say that this is just a love-hate relationship with Joann's. I really do mean it. I love that it gave people jobs, and I hate that they are being taken away. So let's get into what this update is. Joann's is closing. There's no other way to put it. Um, and initially, they were going to only be shutting down 500 stores, and that was it. And people were like, oh, well, maybe there's an opportunity for Joann's to make a comeback. Let me just say this right now. There is not. And before y'all come at me like, oh, Aronica, you don't know that. There is things that can still happen. Miracles are a thing. You're correct. You're correct. However, the CEO of the Great American Group LLC, which is the company that did acquire Joann's, has confirmed that they planned on liquidating. They are looking to keep the stores open until May, and that's about it. The plan is to show you that I understand you are appreciated. JK, 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 that is not the plan. Their plan is to liquidate as much as they can so they can pay back those lenders. Unfortunately for Joann's, they are still in a deep amount of debt, right? And so they're still owing money. And so they plan on liquidating this in order for them to go ahead and pay off the lenders. Now, again, we remember that March 2024 was when they first filed for bankruptcy. That bankruptcy was designed for them to go ahead and reorganize the debts that they owed. And so that was the goal of that. After they came out of bankruptcy and they returned from bankruptcy pretty quickly, honestly, we were hoping that when they came back that restructuring of the debts would essentially appease everything and we could still go on with Joann's being our girl. I know that they had restructured some of their marketing objectives as well, trying to utilize some more of the influencer marketing in hopes of getting people back in the stores. Now, in truth, Joann's was probably headed to bankruptcy prior to the whole panini, right? But through the pandemic, people picked up sewing, crafting, and a lot more of what Joann's actually caters to, period, right? So we're talking about knitting, crocheting, painting, sewing, of course, right? Selling the machines. Then we saw them bring out the Ditto. That's all we can say about that. And then we saw the Ditto get deeply discounted. That's all we'll say about that as well. So there were some opportunities that Joann's was trying to jump into to help keep them relevant as it pertains to appealing to their demographic. Now, many of us are like, I'm gonna tell you what caused Joann's issue, and it's because they had all that fleece in the store. Well, there's still a lot of fleece in the store. Now, a lot of people are saying that the reason why Joann's really kind of hit the pooper is because they were trying to do too many things. So they no longer want to be associated with fabric and they were trying to branch out and they should have just focused on just being for fabric or being for crafts as opposed to having housewares and doing all these other things, right? Now, whether or not that is the cause, the financial specifics are that they were in $615.7 million in debt. Over $133 million was owed to suppliers and $26 million of monthly rent obligations. And we've seen small businesses like Darn Good Yarn or Darn Yarn, I think it is Darn Good Yarn, come out and even talk about how Joann's had unpaid invoices from them. Y'all, things were not looking good. So initially there was an announcement that announced that they were going to be closing approximately 500 out of 800 stores nationwide. There is a list of all of those stores that were initially going to be closed out. I'll make sure that list is in the caption. Now, of course, that impacts a lot of employees because 500 stores is a lot of stores. I happen to go into one of the stores that's closing out in Snellville, Georgia, and I had the opportunity to, of course, walk through the store as well as talk to some of the employees that were there. Now, I happened to speak to someone who is really sweet, very kind, and I just wanted to check in on her mental health and honesty. I had to go ahead and get some fabrics that were going to be cut for Sew Expo, where I'm teaching a bunch of classes, and I needed to prepare some fabric kits. And as she was cutting the fabrics, I just chatted with her to see how she was doing. Now, what she told me was that Michaels planned on offering jobs to Joann's employees, offering them reprieve so that they did not have to be jobless, which shout out to Michaels because good on you, okay? Michael, we we love a team effort here, right? And we know that that's team effort, not because they are on the same teams, but simply because they are looking out for the potential loss of income that could be potentially affecting these Joann's employees. Um, Now, I've already done the due diligence last year of telling you all where you could potentially find smaller businesses to fill your fabric needs. So definitely make sure that you look out for this video here. I think it might be on this side because y'all know I'm still getting the hang of that. Okay. Um, so what's next? Things are going to be discounted. Now, when I went to Joann's, um, it was only at the 20% off. So obviously it's February now when I'm recording this. And so that doesn't surprise me that we haven't hit like rock bottom as far as pricings go. But that's okay. If you're looking for some deep deals, I definitely recommend holding off until like March, April to go shopping because they are looking to be liquidating through May. Now, when you go in to go shopping, I get that we are getting a fantastic deal on fabrics or whatever it is that you're going in there for, but I just want to urge you to make sure that you're being sensitive to the fact that this store is closing down. That means something to a lot of people. It may not mean anything to you. We are not here to debate whether that makes you a good or bad person. It just is what it is, right? Just make sure that you're being sensitive to those around you and who this could potentially be affecting. I just want to encourage that because when we go in and we celebrate the fact that something is on sale or the fact that it's going out of business, we have the ability to kind of trample the feelings of those who work there. They may not hate their jobs. They may not hate Joann's. They may not be in the same mental, emotional space that you are if you're celebrating it. So just be mindful of that. This is also something that does impact the crafting community. Now, of course, in the crafting community, we are going to be brutally honest, right? Part of that is the celebration of Joann's and being able to, especially if you're a small business, then you get to go ahead and get those, just the fixtures and things like that for super cheap. And your business may now be in a position where it can thrive, which is fantastic. I love that for you, but also be mindful of the fact that not everybody likes to shop online. Not me, because I'm an online shopper. Okay. If I can get online or in person, chances are I'm just going to simply order it so that it's delivered to my front door. It is who I identify as a person, judge someone else, okay? But not everybody is that way. You know what I mean? I have been sewing for a really long time. So when it comes to talking about different fabrics and things, chances are I already know how that feels because I have felt it. I was a sewist when Hancock Fabrics went out of business as well. I was able to stock up on a lot of things at that point in time, some of which I still have. Judge someone else. But I've had the opportunity to grow within this craft and feel and do all of the things that's necessary in order for me to feel comfortable and confident in that ability to go. And sorry about that ring. I definitely thought I was on Do Not Disturb. And who's calling me in the middle of the afternoon? Anyway, I digress. We're back on it. So just make sure that you are also being a little cognizant about how this is affecting our crafting community as well. Even though apparently Joann's does owe some invoices, but it was also the opportunity for smaller businesses to get their businesses out to the public and become customer facing, a la darn good yarn. But yeah, this is it's a sad time. It's a sad time. Um, as far as me goes, like, I have very fond memories of taking my kids into Joann's. I've met some of, like, my favorite people in there. If you follow Brandon from Happily Dressed, I had the opportunity to meet him, and I tell this story whenever I talk about him because he's such an exceptional person. I met him while I was shopping for, fabrics for one of my covers for, Nomi, and he met my kids and he interacted with them and was just literally the kindest, sweetest human in the world. And that's the truth about a lot of people who work there, right? Is that that's the opportunity that they had to meet others in the same field. And it's been something that I have enjoyed. I enjoy being able to take my kids into the craft store and see them go crazy over crafts as opposed to just wanting, their devices. It has meant something to me to receive pictures or tags about how people have seen my patterns inside of Joann's as they've been shopping for their own crafts. And that's all something that I'm going to miss personally. Um, so it's with sadness that I say, bye, Joann. You were good to us for the most part. I wish you nothing but well. And thanks for the memories. And with that, that's it for today's video. Happy crafting, stay sewing, and always be creating.